Homefront is a film that was released in 2013 and stars Jason Statham, James Franco, Winona Ryder, and Kate Bosworth. This is based on a book by Chuck Logan, and the book that this is based on is the sixth in a series of books. I think they're like mystery thrillers. Literally, I just discovered this like 2 days ago, basically when I watched this film last. I've become a big reader, but being that it's the sixth book, I really don't feel like reading the entire series. This is good enough for me. But the series is based on this character named Phil Broker, and Jason Statham plays Phil Broker in this film. And this film also has Clancy Brown in it, Frank Grillo. It's packed with some well-known people, and the B-moviness in this film is certainly strong. However, this film does have a budget behind it. It gave me like a lot of like Bloodfather vibes. It's definitely got that action-packed, high octane, high intensity thrill kind of feel, but in a B movie kind of setting and B movie vibe kind of thing, which I love. I'm all over that shit. So what we have going on here basically is we have Jason Statham's character who was an undercover cop, and at the beginning of the film, I forgot that Jason Statham actually uses long hair in this film. There's a few films, which is funny because there's a few films that kind of came out at the same time as each other where Jason Statham is featured with this like long black hair. So I'm wondering if he made all those scenes in each of those films literally at the same time. Like, well, since I have the long hair on, I guess I'll just bounce from set to set and get all these long hair scenes that I need to out of the way, like, at the same time. It looks the same in every movie, so I wonder if he, like, did them all in a row kind of thing. But he's undercover. He's with this gang called the Outcasts, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the Outcasts. They're this biker gang. Think like Sons of Anarchy kind of thing. They go to this meth lab, and it's all planned by the police, and there's a murder of a kid, like he's, I don't know, 20, 21 or younger, but the father is there with him. Again, why you would take your kid to like a meth lab dangerous situation, I'll never know, but the kid is murdered, the father goes to jail. It's all Jason Statham's fault because Jason Statham was undercover as a police officer. He even gives the kid a chance. He says, like, don't reach for your gun or the cops are going to shoot you to death, and the kid reaches for his gun anyway, so he's unfortunately shot to death. And this guy who goes to jail, the father of the kid who died, has a vendetta now for Jason Statham's character, Phil Broker. So Phil Broker, it's a few years later, he's hiding in the small town kind of thing. He got himself out of the force, and he just wants a really quiet life. Your typical setup for a movie, and then, of course, his identity is exposed, and it starts off where he has a daughter. She's like 12 or something, and she has been trained to fight by him, and she has been trained to defend herself by Phil Broker. And at school, there's this kid, this like bully, bigger kid, this boy, who bullies her. I mean, what bullies a girl? I've never really seen that in my life. I've never really seen that happen too much. I've never seen a boy bully a girl, especially a girl much smaller. It's just really idiotic. It's suggested and hinted and said that this kid had like has like special needs in a sense, like he's problematic. He has like emotional issues kind of thing. But he's obviously much bigger bodied than the girl is by a lot. However, the girl is trained by her father to kick ass, so she ends up kicking his ass, and she gives him like a bleeding nose or something. And then his parents come in, and his parents are total white trash. I mean, like, purest form of white trash. And the mom is like leading everything. She's the one like trying to get into Jason Statham's face, or Phil Broker. She's like causing a scene at the school, and she's telling her husband or her boyfriend, whoever he is, Jimmy, the father of the kid, to go kick Statham's ass, and she's like bossing him around, and he goes to do it, but just because he was told to. Like, there's portraying men as pussies, and then there's men who are actual pussies, and this guy Jimmy is legit the definition of a pussy. Like, this guy's a bitch, and this guy is on a leash by his woman, and it's pathetic. Like, it's not even like he it's not even like picking on men. It's a situation where this guy is legit a bitch. There's no other way around it. There's no other way to put it. And this woman, she's no better herself. She's annoying, and she's, white trash as they get. But yeah, she's definitely wearing a couple pairs of pants next to that guy who's wearing a dress for sure, metaphorically. So what happens is this woman is the sister of like the kingpin of the town, and the kingpin of the town, played by James Franco, is Gator Bodine is his name, and he is like the leader of the meth production in this film. A lot of like Breaking Bad vibes, not really like the plot of Breaking Bad, but just because of the whole meth thing and meth production, you get that kind of element. And he runs the show for everything. He's the biggest meth producer in the town. Clancy Brown plays a sheriff, and Clancy Brown's character and James Franco's character kind of have this deal where James Franco, Gator Bodine, will throw the sheriff, like he'll snitch to like small town whoever he doesn't like really, so that the sheriff can arrest them, and then in return the sheriff kind of turns a blind eye to Gator Bodine and just lets him cook his crack while like turning a blind eye kind of thing, which is fucked up, but small towns and small hick towns, for lack of a better term, kind of thing. So just because of that school incident, and because the mom of this kid is related to Gator Bodine, word spreads around this town real quick, real fast, and Jason Statham's character, Phil Broker, starts to get a bad reputation by the town folks. And this town is like, people care for each other kind of thing, but everybody is really sketchy, and everybody is really like, they take care of themselves, but in a gang related kind of way, in like a small town mafia kind of way, not really for the good. They take care of each other for the bad more so. And everybody, is getting word of this Phil Broker guy whose daughter kicked this special needs kid's ass, and everybody's after Jason Statham kind of thing. There's this gas station scene where this guy comes with a bunch of dudes and not threatens but kind of intimidates Phil Broker while he's pumping gas, and he like turns the gas off and he's like, "You're done here. It's my turn to fill gas. Are you going to walk away now, or do you want to take this to the side of the building," kind of thing. And he's acting all tough guy. And of course, nobody knows Jason Statham's skills or Jason Statham's past or anything like that. They think he's just some nobody. But there's this whole, scene where Phil Broker kicks all 7 guys' asses at once. And there's a lot of good action scenes. There's a lot of good choreography in this film, and I liked it for that. Eventually, Gator Bodine, played by James Franco, finds Statham's house, or Phil Broker. I don't know. I go back and forth with names. Sometimes it's just easier for me to say the actor's name, just so you know a little bit more who I'm talking about. But finds his home, breaks into his home, slashes his tires, goes into his home, finds files of his police records kind of thing, where he was in the police as an undercover cop kind of thing. He remembers this incident that happened with this guy whose son died, and because he has connections and everything, so he uses this woman that he's fucking, or I don't know, he has this relationship with this woman named Cheryl, and he gives her the papers to take to the prison to show this guy who's in prison now, the father of the kid who died, and so that he can basically send a bunch of gang members to go fuck Phil Broker up kind of thing. This tiny little schoolyard fight turns into this whole town brawl after this one man, Phil Broker, and his daughter eventually, until we get to a third act where it's just this showdown at the house and everything. So lots of cool action in this film. There's this diner scene in particular where Phil Broker goes into the diner and confronts Gator Bodine. And that scene, that whole 5 minutes, probably less than 5 minutes, but it is so intense. Just the dialogue exchange. There's not a lot that happens in the diner, but there's this dialogue exchange by Jason Statham, who's one of the most intimidating actors there is, versus James Franco, who can be a pretty boy, but he can also be a tough guy at the same time. Like he's a chameleon when it comes to his acting, and it's really a shame that I don't know if we'll ever he doesn't get many roles these days for many, many reasons, and I have no idea what he's like in real life. I mean, I've heard some rumors, spectacles, I've heard the controversies, and stuff like that. Maybe they're true, maybe not. I'm not here to discuss that, but it's just too bad that he had that happen because he, as an actor, is actually really, really, really talented, and I like how he can jump between like all kinds of different types of roles. And in this one, he is intimidating. He is scary. It's just that damn dialogue exchange that I love. Like Statham walks off and he gets up and he says something about Statham's daughter, and then Statham just turns around and just gives him this glare, and it's just so well done, so well acted. And he's a little snitch, little like fucking rat too, for just breaking into Statham's home for not even a big reason, just the fact that Phil Broker's daughter kicked the kid's ass, and the kid happens to be the son of his sister, and it turns into this whole like gang related situation. There's a scene at the end which is cool but very unrealistic, where it involves this car chase scene, and they end up on a bridge, and the sheriff like announces to kind of close the bridge. James Franco is chasing Jason Statham, and Jason Statham's vehicle flips, and I'm telling you, like, it rolls like fucking 6, 7, 8 times. It's just nobody's getting out of that crash, nobody. Kind of thing. And James Franco, Gator Bodine, comes out of his vehicle and walks over to the car that just flipped 1,000 times. And Jason Statham, of course, is fine. He has like a couple scratches on him, but nothing else. I'm telling you, is like he would be like limbs would be off of him if this car flips like crazy. It's one hell of an accident. Cool ending because Jason Statham like holds the gun at Gator Bodine's head, and then his daughter walks there. He turns his head, he sees his daughter, and then he looks at Gator Bodine and he's like, "She just saved your life," kind of thing, and he puts his gun away. There's a fight scene which again is beautiful choreography, where Jason Statham has this battle with, again, a bunch of people with his hands tied behind his back. His hands are like roped up, and he's having this fight with no hands. He's just using his feet and his like elbows and everything. Really, really good stuff there. The atmosphere and the vibe of this film, I love the intensity. There's a disturbingness to this film, and there's an uncomfortability with the characters, and I think everybody, all the actors, really dive into their roles. Like Winona Ryder in this film is barely recognizable. I mean, I had to like kind of look her up and be like, wait, is that Winona Ryder? Because she does not look like a typical Winona Ryder in other films, kind of thing. James Franco, like I said, really commits to his role. Jason Statham's Jason Statham as always. I will say one thing about Jason Statham. I fucking love the guy, but if he needed to save his fucking life to do an American accent, I'm sorry, the guy would be dead. Now, with that being said, I don't think there's anybody in the world who can imitate a Jason Statham accent. Like, Jason Statham has this Jason Statham way of talking that it's very hard to imitate. It's like trying to imitate like Elvis or Arnold Schwarzenegger or somebody like that has this distinct voice. Jason Statham is one of those. But for fuck's sakes, in Parker he tries, the movie Parker, and in this one he tries at the very beginning when he's undercover. I'm like, you would not be able to be undercover trying a Boston accent. It would, like, he tries so hard, and that's why I'm saying, like, I don't mean this as an insult. I'm just saying it's probably because he never took like dialect coaching or anything like that, so that's probably why. He doesn't need to. He's an action star and he's already good at everything he does, so it's not really necessary. But Jesus, he cannot speak American. But it's a good thing he's good at literally everything else. It's a cool film. You also don't see Jason Statham being very country very much either. Like the whole like small town dad kind of thing, daddy saves daughter situation. You see it, but not in this kind of Americana way. And the town is just like, it's filthy, it's dirty, it's slimy. There's this film I own called Small Town Saturday Night, starring Chris Pine. Great film, very indie. That also has that small town like dirty feel, like kind of like rednecky, hicky kind of situation going. And it gave me a lot of vibes of this film too. And the action, the B-movie action is great. The choreography is fun. And it's intense. Like, this film is very intense. And violent. Like, there's a lot of violent scenes, and there's a lot of scenes that really make you uncomfortable and a little bit sick in some ways. And I think my favorite is that diner scene, just because of the dialogue, like I said. It's not an action scene. It's just the dialogue that makes that scene so intense. So I really like this film. I think it's fun, and it's definitely one of Statham's action movies that are definitely in the top of my, like, if I was going to list Statham films, this one's easily at the top. There's a lot of drug use in this film too, with the sister, Gator Bodine's sister. He's a meth creator and he's a meth seller, but his sister is completely addicted to the drug and he keeps giving it to her anyway. There's a scene where he goes to his sister's house and she's like cracked out and in massive trouble, and her husband Jimmy, of course, doesn't do shit about it, but her husband Jimmy comes out and has a conversation with Gator Bodine, and he's like, you really need to stop giving her that shit. I mean, look at her, she's a mess, you really got to stop giving her drugs. And Gator Bodine is like, well, maybe you should start being a better husband too. So they both have points. And just because of Jimmy being, like I said, the biggest pussy and the biggest, just just how can I even, like, non-man, like, fuck, like, terrible husband, total bitch, does not protect her, does not help her, does not do anything to her. But same with her brother. Like, this poor woman is just surrounded by the worst men she could possibly be surrounded by. It's just crazy. But yeah, it's a fun film. There's a great lab explosion at the end of the film, which Jason Statham sets up, which I'm not going to get too much into detail for. You just kind of, you got to see it, how he sets this trap up essentially. It's fantastic, and it's just one of those really glorified B movies that if you like action stuff, you definitely have to check this one out. It's one of Jason Statham's really good ones. So that's Homefront from 2013. Fantastic cast, fantastic crew, fantastic choreography, and just a blast all throughout. So very intense one, but definitely worth seeing. So that's it. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews. I will be back with more soon, so stay tuned for those. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming. Until next review, have a good one. Take care and cheers.